Boris is the pack mule character in this war of mine, able to carry more than any other character. Welcome back to a survivor's guide to this war of mine. Today we will be going over Boris. This episode will cover both his mechanics and his story. Bear in mind that a lot of these stories are very sad, and Boris's is no exception. You have been warned. Boris's trait in the game is strong but slow, which means exactly what it says. Boris has the largest carrying capacity of 17, but moves the slowest of all the characters. This makes him an incredibly useful scavenger, but means you have to be careful to leave enough time for him to get home, especially in the bigger locations. He also has pretty good grades in combat and guarding, both at B, meaning if he does get caught, he can fight his way out. However, he is an altruistic character, and so is likely to be affected heavily by killing or stealing, and therefore you need to be careful what you use him for. Finally, on the mechanics side, he cannot play the guitar, and he is addicted to smoking. Now that we have covered his mechanics, we can move on to the lore. We'll start with his good story, and then his bad story, before moving on to the endings. Boris's good story. Number 1. I had a beautiful girlfriend, Anna. We had a kid, a wonderful son. Luca was just like me. He was only 7, and already stronger than all the other kids. I bet he would have grown up to be a great weightlifter, as I always wanted to be, if I had saved him. Number 2. When we were hiding in the basement, after they hit our house, we quickly ran out of food, and had very little water. I could not move much because of my foot. Anna saved us both. She was a great mother, a real hero. Anna used to go out at night, and she was bringing everything we needed. Number 3. Anna was a terrific mother. She'd do anything for Luca. I mean, she did when he got the runs from the bad water that he drank. Soon, he was weakening by the hour, so she went out to get him the medicine. "You stay here. You can barely walk, and I'll run like the wind," she told me. But you can't outrun a sniper's bullet. Number 4. A stranger came to our basement. He told me that Anna had been shot on the way back. He brought the meds, but it was too late for my poor son. "Don't cry, Daddy. I'll be fine now. And Mum promised to bring us something nice," said Luca shortly before dying. I didn't tell him she was gone. I would give everything to bring them back. I will always love them. Boris's bad story. I had a beautiful girlfriend, Anna. We had a kid, his name was Luca. He was going to be just as strong as me. But she used to pamper him too much. Boys should be brought up tough, or they'll turn out soft, or worse. Number 2. My house was hit, and we had to live in the basement. We were hungry, we had very little water. I couldn't do anything, my foot was crushed, and so I felt useless. Anna kept disappearing every night, and as I lay there in pain, with Luca in my arms, I couldn't help wondering where she was getting the food she was bringing us. Number 3. One day, Luca fell ill with the runs. Turned out he'd drunk some water from a puddle. "I'm sorry, Daddy. I ate peanuts and I was terribly thirsty." Salted peanuts. This is not proper food for a child. Soon he was getting weaker by the hour. Anna said she'd get him some meds. She must have felt guilty, for she didn't bother to wait for the sunset before she went out. Number 4. On the night of Luca's death, some guy appeared out of nowhere and said that he was Anna's friend, and that she had asked him to bring us the medicine. But it was too late for Luca. Before leaving, this guy said that Anna had been shot by a sniper, but I will always wonder if she didn't just choose a better life over us. As all of these characters have, Boris has been through an awful lot. Depending on your actions throughout the game, you can get the following endings. If Boris dies. Luck has finally abandoned Boris. Not much of a surprise to him. His strength was not enough to keep him alive. In a just universe, he'd be with his son now. If Boris killed himself. Boris couldn't take it anymore and took his own life. Haunted by the memory of his son and girlfriend's fate, maybe he is reunited with them now. If he abandons the party and leaves the shelter. Boris disappeared one night without a trace. He died of liver failure a few years after the war. if you reject him from entering. We decided that we couldn't accept Boris after all. Let's hope he had better luck elsewhere. If he finishes the war, but with bad karma. While Boris survived the war, he grew increasingly hateful towards others and spent several years on a futile search for the sniper who shot Anna. He died from the injuries suffered in a drunken altercation with a man he accused of being her killer. If he gets through the war, but is sad. Boris managed to see the end of the war and try to put his life back together, mostly with no avail. The memory of his son's and girlfriend's fate haunted him till the end of his days. And finally, if Boris makes it to the end of the war, in good spirits and without hurting anyone. Boris won over everything that war threw at him and used his grit and strength to help others rebuild their lives. The memory of Anna's sacrifice and Luca's faith supported him till the end of his days. And so there we have the story of Boris. If you have found this interesting, please do like, subscribe, and consider donating to War Child. Thanks, and I'll see you next week. Ta-ra.